refuse to lose. I'm built to win. Applied myself, I filled it in. No time for the doubt, they counted me out, I'm getting it in. Yeah. No time for no loss, I'm paying the cost, I'm in it to win. Yeah. Refuse. Mine, it can't be diffused. If you ain't thinking the same, then we playing by different rules. You can't see the vision, we living at different views. Until we complete the mission, keep getting up, never snooze. I walked a mile in my shoes, had the mind of a fool, chasing diamonds and jewels. Trust me, I was confused. Started minding my business and used my mind as a tool. Ended up finding my purpose and found the time to get to it. They told me I couldn't do it, they told me I couldn't make it. They sold it, could never break it. That's sadly mistaken. I need a piece of the pie, I want it so bad I can taste it. They told me like Toby, keep on running toes, they gon' take them. Refuse to lose, built to win. Applied myself, I filled it in. No time for the doubt, they counted me out, I'm getting it in. Yeah. No time for no loss, I pay for the cost, I'm winning to win. Yeah. Refuse to lose, I'm built to win. Applied myself, I filled it in. No time for the doubt, they counted me out, I'm getting it in. Yeah. No time for no loss, I'm paying the cost, I'm in it to win. Yeah. Refuse.
Welcome back to CTC. I'm your gracious host, Carl, and I'm back with another episode. And today is This Week in College Football, Week 12, where I recap the week in college football. Now, I will not be doing poll talk because poll talk will be later tonight. Well, poll talk will be later in the week because the College Football Committee has yet to announce their top 25. It's going to be interesting for sure, but that will not be in this episode. Now, got to do some cleanup real quick. First of all, please like, comment, share, subscribe. It helps the channel. It helps the network. It helps my channel, CTC, by way of the Refuse to Lose Network. Like I said, this is a network. So we have shows on the network, like the main show featuring Joe, Tomo, and Dave every Tuesday and Friday, 7 to about 8:30-ish. This one should be interesting today. We have Unfazed featuring Joe and AJ every every Tuesday, 9 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Central. Be on the lookout for that one. We got BWT baseball with Teddy. The baseball is now in the off season. I want to say the World Baseball Championship, I think that's what it's called, is coming up soon. I wonder if I'm pretty sure Teddy's going to cover that. So shout out to him for that. We got FFC Fantasy Football with Coach Coombs, who went live earlier this morning. Week 11 is now officially over, and the NFL today starts week 12. Well, really Thursday, but y'all get what I'm saying. So make sure y'all get y'all fantasy football tidbits from Coach, because I know playoffs is right around the corner. Also, shout out my Ravens, man, 5-5. A lot of people didn't see this coming. Anyway, next, we got RBO Real Ballers Only featuring Vaughn, NBA show. We got Dave's Doghouse, highlights of sports and lowlights. And we have In the Red Corner featuring Ty, Ricky, and Tomo every other Sunday. Or they be on Sundays. They just don't go back-to-back Sundays at around 7 o'clock, discussing boxing shows, discussing boxing topics, fights, things of that nature. So make sure y'all check them out. And that's all the shows we have on our network. So please like, comment, share, subscribe to those as well. And if you like what you're listening to, stick with us. Now, before I go into This Week in College Football, I got to address one thing as well. My record. Saturday, I gave y'all 13 games. I was 2-3. We turned it around with an 11-2 record. So shout out for that. Bama was one of my losses. And Cincinnati was another one of my losses. Both losing at home, both being upset. But I'll take it. I'll take it 11-2 record, man. Turned from 2-3 to, as you can see, 13-5. And we're almost doubled our wins and losses. If we can get a sweep tonight, we'll be that much more closer because we need 124. If we sweep Maction, then we'll be double wins and losses with 124 to 62 losses. But just wanted to talk about that. I was kind of happy that, we turned the record around from 2-3 to 13-5. So I love that. Also, real quick, I do want to say one more thing. College conference championship week is around the corner. This is one of the 2 last weeks left. We got this week and next week, and then after that is conference championship. So it's going to be fun, man. I already got some guests lined up for that show. One is for sure said he can make it. The other one is I'll give him an 80% chance that he'll make it. Only reason why I'll say that first one is 95, because the only reason why I can't fully say they committed is because I can't tell you when the show's going to be, because obviously none of the matchups are made. So I don't know what time the games are, the day, stuff like that. So can't really give you 100% confirmation on any guess. But 2 said they're willing to do it. Now let's get into This Week in College Football. If you're new here, We start off with the upsets of the week. If you're not new here, then you know already. So, I want to start with our first upset that actually happened Friday night. A lot of people was on this upset. Clemson upsets Louisville at home in a revenge game from last year, where Louisville upset Clemson last year at their house. Now, this game was, to me, battle of who want to throw this game away the most. I'm not gonna lie. Started off super slow in the beginning. I believe it was like 3-3 for majority of it. Yeah, then Louisville scored a touchdown later in the first half, but missed the extra point, which comes back to haunt them later in that game. Clemson goes down and scores later in the half to go up 10-9 because of said missed extra point. And to be honest, game in the second half was just a mistake fest. Louisville was the leader in said mistake fest, but then Clemson late game bobbles a snap on a punt. Louisville recovers, but on second down after the play, Louisville gets hit with an unsportsmanlike conduct, moves back 15 yards on making it third and long. They try to get some yards back, but the kicker missed the field goal. They had two straight missed field goals late in the fourth quarter, and followed that up with a turnover on downs to actually lose the game. It was just seemed like every time somebody was doing well, a huge penalty would happen, a fumble, or just something big would happen to swing the momentum. Louisville was moving the ball; they would get penalties to move them back. Like I said, Clemson had the muff fumble. It was just a mistake fest, man. I even said in the chat, if you're not a member, become a member. Like, it just seems like they like, I don't want to win, you take it. And then Louisville like, I don't want to win, you take it. And this is big because Louisville losing this game all but eliminates them from the ACC championship game. But with a win, they were still in contention for the ACC championship game. And I'm kind of sad for Jeff Brom and the coaching staff because of how, they lost this game. Then on 4th and goal from the 1 yard line, the week prior, they lose the Cal. It's just they're not even they played their way out of ACC contention and possibly played their way out of the playoffs. So it's upsetting for Louisville, but Clemson, that's a big dub to remain in contention to make a bowl game. It's upsetting for Louisville, 100%, 100%. But we'll move on to Arizona at Cincinnati, which Arizona won 30-24. Cincinnati was 25th in the country in this game. And I'm not going to lie, Cincinnati started off with an interception, but then after the pick, they scored on back-to-back touchdowns, going up 14-10 at half. But Arizona in the second half just turned it on. And I mean, part of that was also Cincinnati just not being able to get timely stops because Arizona scored on every drive in the second half. It went field goal, touchdown, touchdown, field goal. And that field goal, they converted 2 big third downs late in that ball game to get in field goal range to go up 6. So now Cincinnati needs a touchdown instead of a field goal to tie. They need a touchdown to win. And I mean, honestly, on that last drive, they went nowhere but backwards. If we're being honest, took a sack, incomplete passes. I will say Brendan Sorsby did look a little off to me after those 2 touchdowns. I mean, even with the pick, he just looked a little off to me. He kind of looked like older Brendan Sorsby, in my opinion, in this game. But yeah, like I said, Cincinnati second half just could not get off the field on third downs. They could not get the stop to get off the field or not give up points. Giving up points every drive except for the drive, obviously, to need the game out was huge in this one. They went from 14-10 at halftime to Arizona winning the second half 20-10. And Cincinnati honestly getting that touchdown late in the ball game. So yeah, Cincinnati second half, they just couldn't make the plays to potentially win the ball game, while Arizona absolutely made the plays to win the ball game. And late game execution is everything in a tight one. And Arizona showed that they had it that day in their house. So great win for Arizona on that one. Cincinnati, I don't want to say they played spoiler to Cincinnati because Cincinnati, I don't think was going to make the playoffs, but I mean, they're absolutely not making it now. But great win for Arizona. And we move on to an upset that I honestly didn't see coming. South Florida on the road loses at the Naval Academy 41-38. South Florida comes into this game as the 24th ranked team in the country. Navy, man. Navy just did their thing. Option was a ton for the South Florida Bulls to handle. Now, they did get an unforced fumble in that game, the Bulls, but they weren't even able to convert on it. And, man, they gave up a ton of big plays. They gave up the big play to Eli Heinrich down the sideline, one-hand catch. They gave up the big plays to Braxton Wolford. Wolford down the stretch of the game. Those were two big touchdown runs. Every time not Arizona, USF, South Florida would make it a 3-point game. Navy just had a response. And it doesn't help that early in the game, USF went down as much as 9-24 because Navy, they were able to make plays. They were able to move down the field and make big plays and score, while USF wasn't really able to get a ton of offense going until later in the ball game. Now, USF did I think early in the fourth, they did hit on a double pass, which that almost looked like a disaster, but it was until it worked. But like I said, every time USF got close, Navy had a response. Even on third, USF kind of suffered from the same syndrome that Cincinnati suffered from late in the ball game. Cannot get off the field on third down. They'll get it to like 3rd and 8, 3rd and 7. Cannot get off the field. So that was huge for the USF Bulls. I do think the Bulls defense let them down in this game. The offense, it took them a while to wake up, but once they got up, they was rolling, and then the defense was still just giving up points. So you give up 24 points in the first half, 17 in the second half, not be able to get key stops. You did have a chance late with a Hail Mary, but, I mean, it's a Hail Mary. It's a low success rate. We'll talk about a Hail Mary in the game later, but it's a low success rate, and Navy was able to hang on to win 41-38, and South Florida I think it all but eliminates South Florida's not only group of 5 chance, but American Athletic Conference championship chance. They would need some help with this loss, because obviously now Navy owns the tiebreaker over them, so they're going to need some help. And I believe they blew the game. No, that wasn't them. That was Tulane that blew the UTSA. I'm trying to remember USF other loss, but yeah, they have another loss in the American Athletic Conference. Meanwhile, you got teams like Tulane who won yet again. ECU, we got to talk about later. They lost the game to Memphis. That's what it was. They lost the game to Memphis with a missed field goal. That's it right there. But we'll move on to the last upset of the day. We got 11th ranked Oklahoma beats 4th ranked Alabama on the road, 23-21. In this game, I put on Ty Simpson and Ryan Williams. I have to. I've been giving Ty Simpson his flowers all year. I'm not taking them back, but I have to be real. If I can give you flowers when it's time to be criticized, I have to criticize you. You had a pick six early in the game to put you down 10-0. And then, now granted, he just blew up the lineman on this fumble, but you did kind of hold on to the ball, and you knew he was chasing you, and you didn't throw the ball away, and he was able to knock it out. That fumble led to Oklahoma's only points of the second half, and you weren't able to manufacture a drive outside the first drive in the second half to overcome a 2-point deficit. Ryan Williams, I keep saying it. He's in his own head. I don't get it. He's trying to do too much on a punt return, which I can't fault the man for trying to make people miss, but then he fumbles, and Oklahoma recovers, and that leads to a touchdown. Oklahoma legit scored most of their points off turnovers. They got the fumble off a turnover, they got the pick six, and they got the field goal off the fumble. That's, 17 points right there. So, yeah, just a bad day at the office for both Ty Simpson and Ryan Williams. Then Ty Simpson misses that 4th and 6, which, to be honest, even if that pass is on target, that's great defense, I think, by Eli Bowen. And that's not only not a completion, that's not a first down. He wasn't at the sticks. And I get also that D-line was, pressuring Ty Simpson all game. I do get that. But you got to get it done. They said it, and I kind of agree with it. He hasn't had really a Heisman moment, to be honest, all year. And this was the moment to show, this is why I'm a Heisman. And he didn't answer the call. As much as Penn State has been bad this year, when Fernando Mendoza had a chance to answer that Heisman call for his Heisman moment against Penn State, he got it done. So, yeah, I'm going to put the loss really on them. The defense for Alabama played phenomenal. Phenomenal. It was the reason why they were even in that game. Again, when Ty Simpson fumbled, they only allowed a field goal out of that, and they were basically in red zone territory. So I got to give Alabama's defense all the credit in the world in this game. Sucks that they came up short. Now, if you're a Miami fan, shout out to my boy Ace and Dave, family of the show. Ace, family of the show. Dave, always welcome on the show. I said that Oklahoma winning was probably one of the worst things for Miami, because they get a top 5 win. They don't move down. They move up. Bama's making the playoffs. They're not taking Bama out, especially with one loss in the SEC. depending if they beat Auburn, because they do have one more SEC game, which is the Iron Bowl. They're not taking Bama out. But Oklahoma almost solidifies, or they help their case of getting in the playoffs with that win in Tuscaloosa. Man. So that sucks for any Miami fans that Oklahoma was able to pull off this upset. But if you was Oklahoma Sooner fan, you're loving it. Your defense balled out, and they got the job done. Now we're going to move on to some notable games. And I got a couple. And we're going to start with Michigan escaping Northwestern. I told y'all I'd take the points with Northwestern. Michigan looked like they were going to run away with it in the third quarter, scoring back-to-back touchdowns. Now, I'm going to say back-to-back. I know there was a fumble. Samaj Morgan fumbled a punt in between that, which led to a Northwestern field goal. But before said punt, which is special teams and not really offense, they scored a touchdown. Then after said muff punt or fumble, there was a touchdown. So I'm going to call it back-to-back. But, I clarified as well. But early in the game, Northwestern just could not punch it in the red zone. They had great field. They got down to the one. Could not punch it in for touchdowns, had to settle for field goals, while Michigan only scored one touchdown in the first half. So Northwestern defense, they did give up chunk plays, but overall, they played a great game. It's tough to, hold Jordan Marshall, Andrew Marshall, the receiver who had a crazy day. It's tough to hold Jordan Marshall in that Wolverine offense from breaking big plays. And they broke big plays, but they did a great job of not allowing them to score. Now, the third quarter is where Michigan did their damage. But then Northwestern in the second half forces 3 straight turnovers, 2 picks, and a fumble. So they did a great job in the second half, forcing turnovers, which actually put them in the lead 22-21 before Michigan on a 3rd and 11 completes a huge pass on the left sideline. Can't remember who catches it. I think it was Andrew Marshall who actually caught it on like a comeback. And they got in field goal range to win the ball game. So that was a good comeback for Bryce Underwood and the Wolverines to, stay in possible contention for the playoffs. Now, I think the Ohio State-Michigan game is a huge one. If they win that Ohio State game for the 5th year in a row, I think the committee puts them in the playoffs. They got the name, unfortunately. They got the name. They got some wins. They play Maryland next week, so I think that's a win. Then they were going to play Ohio State. They would have one loss out of conference, which is Oklahoma, which they just took down Alabama, and they got one loss in conference, which is USC, which USC is also in contention for possibly making the playoffs. So I think if Michigan finishes 10-2, beat Ohio State, which if they beat Ohio State, that could possibly put them in a Big Ten championship game because Ohio State would lose the tiebreaker with Michigan. Michigan would only have one Big Ten loss because, again, I think they beat Maryland. Indiana's in because Indiana would, I don't think they lose to Purdue, not this week, but next week. And then it just becomes, it becomes weird because then Oregon plays USC. That's a big game coming up this Saturday. USC lost to what? They lost a Big Ten game, but I can't even remember what it is right now. Illinois. They lost to Illinois. I think that's their only Big Ten loss. If I remember correctly, their only Big Ten loss is Illinois. So if they beat Oregon, though, however, that ruins it for Michigan because then they will own the tiebreaker by beating Michigan. So it's a lot of the Big Ten is it's a lot of scenarios going on in the Big Ten at this current moment, and that could happen. So a lot of teams need teams to lose, or it's a lot of scenarios that can happen. But overall, it's a much needed win that Michigan needed. Northwestern, it shows how good of a team Northwestern actually is. Long are they the same team that got beat by Tulane as bad as they did in Tulane? And like I said, it shows that Northwestern's a really good team, and they could have came away with that win. But we'll move on to another game that's in the Big Ten. Iowa loses to USC. Now, off the break, Iowa, they scored first. They actually put up 21 points in the first half. They were up 21-10 at halftime. They was able to run the ball. It was kind of a game that suited Iowa. It was nasty. It was rainy. It was one of those games that Iowa was able to get it done with the ground game. But in the second half, USC woke up, in particular, Mekhi Lemon. They shut out Iowa's offense in the second half, gave up 0 points. I think that Mekhi Lemon, I'm pretty sure, called like a crazy touchdown pass late in the ball game. And like I said, they shut out Iowa. They actually survived a scare late game. I think it was Weegen almost came down with a crazy pass. Mark Gronowski, who was inaccurate yet again in this game, actually came up with a pretty good pass on that fourth down Norwegian that he was just out of bounds. But the pressure and everything he was facing to get that ball that close was actually really good. But like I said, USC second half, they stepped up, pitched the shot out, and they got the job done. The offense woke up. They almost forced a fumble, but offset and penalties took that away for my parlay. Thank God. But yeah, it was a great win by USC, and that was another game. I told y'all take the points. My parlay hit, by the way, so shout out to me. And I want R2L members in the parlay chat some money as well as my friends and family. But yeah, so that was a great game, but Iowa's inability to pass yet again reared its ugly head, and it's unfortunate that inability to pass has ruined pretty good Iowa programs or pretty good teams in the Iowa program for the past couple of years. It's unfortunate. All right, but since we're still here on the Big Ten, I do have the Big Ten standings right here on my phone. Indiana's 8-0, Ohio State is 7-0, USC is 6-1, Oregon is 6-1. So yeah, like I said, the USC-Oregon game is huge. Winner basically eliminates the loser from Big Ten championship contention. Not even basically, they do. But what that does if USC wins is it eliminates Michigan, because unless USC loses their last game, because USC still got two Big Ten games, but the last game is against UCLA, but it's a rivalry game, so can't really count that automatically as a dub. If USC wins out, Michigan loses to Ohio State, beats Ohio State, then USC will take on Indiana because they would push Oregon back. Michigan loses the tiebreaker, and Ohio State, I believe, would fall back because they lost to Michigan, who USC beat. I think that's how that works. But we'll see when we get there. Another notable game. Virginia, I'm going to say dominates. I'm going to say blew out Duke, because Duke scored 2 late game touchdowns when the score was 31-3 in the fourth quarter. The game was over. I mean, they scored a pick six and they scored a touchdown in the fourth. The game was over, though. 31-3 in the fourth. But I told y'all, Chandler Morris is going to be back, and if he's back, take the plus 3.5 with Virginia. I even picked them outright, to be honest. I said take Virginia outright on the road. I was not sold on Duke. I'm not. That defense is susceptible. The offense is pretty mediocre. This isn't one of the Duke's defenses of the past 2 years that Manny Diaz has had and Mike Elko has had. It's not. And which is why I took Virginia. Chandler Morris, he had a day, but Jamari Taylor had an amazing day. Trail Harris, had an amazing day against this Duke defense. Virginia came out and scored first. Only gave up 3 points in the first half. Really gave up 3 points in the through 3 quarters. Like I said, dominated defensively. And offensively, they put up 31 through 3 quarters. So just a dominant showing by Virginia. Now Chandler Morris, I do believe he had 2 picks in this ball game. But like I said, one was when the game was over. And what blew the game open was when Virginia scored a touchdown and then another touchdown after Duke fumbled the ball. So yeah, Virginia definitely did their thing. And to me, I think they're in. I think they beat Virginia Tech, which is their last game of the year. And I think they're in the ACC championship game. Who they play? I was going to say Georgia Tech, but Georgia Tech defense scares me. Georgia Tech defense definitely scares me. And they played Pitt, which I'm not sold on Pitt, but with that scary defense, what they just did to Boston College, anything is possible in that game. So who Virginia plays in the ACC championship is a mystery to me. All right, we got another notable game. Memphis loses to ECU. I picked ECU at home to win this game. I didn't think Brandon Lewis was playing. Turns out Brandon Lewis is just a tough son of a gun. It just is what it is. He played again, and that's probably why I couldn't find him on no injury report, whether he was playing or not. No matter what, I'm going. So salute to him. And he didn't look hurt. I don't know if they shot him up. I don't know what happened. Maybe he got over it. But he really didn't look hurt until he got hit. Then he came out for a little bit, but he came back. But ECU, they won that ball game late. ECU struck first, but Memphis will go up 14-7 before going up 17-10 at halftime. And then ECU would tie the ball game mid-third quarter. But once they tied the ball game mid-third quarter, they were starting to get stops. But it just seemed like now all of a sudden we can't score to take the lead. And ECU got the ball back still, 24-24, late in the fourth quarter, mid to late in the fourth quarter. Probably 5 minutes left. and Caden Hauser gets sacked and fumbles it. Memphis recovers, but ECU defense holds like it has been from 24 on to this point, and they force a field goal because Memphis is already in field goal range. This happened kind of like deep in ECU's territory. Memphis holds them. Memphis kicks a field goal, and then ECU then drives down the field down 3, and Caden Hauser throws up a 31-yard bomb. And I can't remember who made the play. I know it was Anthony Smith, but the receiver just makes a play. He sees the ball in the air and he maneuvers his way in front of the DB and he makes a play to go up 31-27. And then ECU catches the interception on the potential game-winning drive for Memphis, and they end the ball game. So shout out ECU to stay alive and contention for the American Athletic Conference Championship game. Now what hurts them is they lost to Tulane. And they dropped a random one. I can't remember who. I want to say UTSA maybe, but they dropped a random game. So because they have 2 losses in conference, and with not having that Tulane win, that does hurt. But ECU did beat Navy. So let me bring up these American Athletic Conference standings while I'm talking about it, because it's the only American game I think that I have on notable games. I do have one maybe on. No, I don't even have one on games to mention, but I do want to bring up these standings. I wish there was a way I could put the standings on the screen. I'm gonna talk to Joe about that when I get off of StreamYard. So I want to do it for Maction. By the way, my Maction episode will be in about 30 minutes. Let's see here. I'm looking for an American Athletic Conference Championship. Not championship game, American Athletic Conference game. And we have one here with Tulsa versus Army. So now we're going to look at the standings. And so Navy's on top of the standings with one extra American Conference play game at 6-1. Tulane is second at 5-1. North Texas is 5-1 as well. North Texas did beat Navy. So if North Texas wins their next American Athletic Conference game and they tie with Navy, they do own that tiebreaker. ECU is actually 5-1 in conference. They have their only loss was Tulane. So it's interesting here. It's really a 4-way tie, atop the standings, because like I said, Memphis is only up Navy's only up half a game because they played an extra game. I keep saying Memphis. Navy plays Memphis this Thanksgiving. So not this Thursday coming up, but next Thursday they play Memphis. If Memphis beats Navy, that all but eliminates Navy from contention. Now Tulane plays Temple and Charlotte. I don't want to say 2 layups, but I'm gonna say 2 layups. Temple's on the road, so I'm not gonna say that's a total layup, but I'm not surprised if Tulane blows them out. But Temple can fight and win. Evan Simon's been having a good year. Temple definitely has a chance. I'm not saying they have no chance. They have a chance for sure. That's a game to look out for. North Texas, they play Rice and Temple. Now Rice is on the road, Temple's at home, so we'll see there. And ECU, they play UTSA on the road, so that's definitely dangerous. And FAU on the road. That was their last home game against Memphis. Their last 2 games are road games, so that can get dicey. So interesting there. We got a lot of scenarios in the American as well. The next notable game I have for y'all, 10th ranked Texas loses on the road to 5th ranked Georgia 35-10. And I'm not going to be long on this game. Flat out, Georgia just out physical Texas yet again. Now, I will say Texas defense in the second and third quarter, they buckled down. They got stingy. They did a great job. But the game blew open when Georgia scored in the fourth quarter. And for some reason, Kirby Smart called an onside kick, which turned out to be brilliant. And Georgia recovers and went down and scored again to make it 28-10. That was when the game was over. Game was over. Texas had no chance after that. But like I said, man, I'm gonna keep it short, keep it sweet. Move on to the next game. Georgia just flat out dominated Texas yet again for the 3rd time in a row. Next, we got Kennesaw State losing to Jack State. Jack State on the road, 26-35. Jack State, man, I think this was a great win by them, but this is what I'll say. Kennesaw State scored first. The Jack State match. And then Kennesaw State was on the way to score again. But they had a holding call on a would-be touchdown and then missed the field goal. And I feel like that's when everything collapsed. Like the bottom fell out of Kennesaw State. Jack State will go and score again. They gave up first of all, they threw a pick right after that. Then they gave up a Hail Mary before the half because the 3 DBs on Kennesaw State didn't decide to bat the ball down. They tried to catch or just tip and hit it, and it tipped up. DeAndre Johnson, Johnny on the spot, caught it, touchdown, Hail Mary. Then Kennesaw State, they kick a field goal. It's 13-25 at one point. They throw another interception. They get it. Then all of a sudden, Kennesaw State works it down to a 6-point game. But Jack State gets the ball. Caden Creedle takes off, big run. Cam Cook takes off, big run. Then they wait. They draw their timeouts. They get all their timeouts. They kill 40 seconds, down 6. Garrison Ripper makes a field goal, making it a 9-point game with like a minute and some change left. No, not even a minute and some change left. I think there was seconds left. And Kennesaw State throws a pick on a Hail Mary that doesn't matter whether it's completed for a touchdown or picked off or pick 6. And Jack State, they remain undefeated in Conference USA. And they all but hold their destiny to the Conference USA Championship game. So Kennesaw State, they are second with 1 loss in conference. Jack State was their first loss in conference. Western Kentucky, I think, will actually be second because of being the whole Navy situation. Like, they had an extra game. They played in week 0 and beat Sam Houston. So they currently, I believe, are a half game up on Kennesaw State. So that's something interesting to look out for. But I think the Conference USA Championship game is between those 3. Jack State, I'm pretty sure, just all but certain punched their ticket, while Western Kentucky and Kennesaw State, they got to work. Oh, Most State is also in that mix. Most State only has 1 loss in conference as well. Most State, this is their first year in conference, and they're doing a phenomenal job in conference. So, yeah, we got Jack State, who's 6-0 in conference play. So they're first. Western Kentucky is second at 6-1. Kennesaw State and Most State are both tied at 5-1 in conference. So it's a 4-way battle for 2 spots because FIU is 5th at 3-3. So FIU is done. Western Kentucky, they have 1 more Conference USA game, and that's against Jack State. And that's the last game of the season. They play LSU this week, which is not conference, and then Jack State. Jack State plays FIU and then Western Kentucky at home. Kennesaw State plays Mo State. So that this game this week between Mo State and Kennesaw State eliminates the loser, and Liberty, which Liberty could pull off an upset here. So, well, Mo State, if they win, would play Louisiana Tech, which is also a team to look out for. So these conference races are getting heavy. Because I ain't even talking about the SEC. That race is heavy too. And the MAC, which I'll talk about the MAC during match. But my final my final notable game, which is also another race that is hectic, it's the Mountain West game. Boise State loses to San Diego State on the road 17-7. San Diego State keeps the number 1 spot in the Mountain West by dominating Boise State. In that rain game, it was basically the battle of the run games, especially because Maddox Madison did not play. He was out. And San Diego State was able to find some offense first. This game was very defensive. Until San Diego State broke 2 big runs, I think one by Lucky Sutton to score. And then Boise State would match to go 7-7. But San Diego State would score back-to-back, go 14-7. And Boise State obviously with 7 points off the whole game, would not score the rest of the game. Now, Boise State late in the ball. Well, I got to say this first. San Diego State in the third quarter did kick a field goal to go up 10 points, which was huge in the type of ball game they were in. And Boise State would get down late in the fourth quarter in field goal range where they would miss the field goal, which prevented them a chance for an onside kick attempt to go down and score again. And San Diego State would knee out the clock. But this was the battle of the run games, and San Diego State just had a better run game against the Boise State run game. Boise State defense gave San Diego State's offense all that they could, but missing Maddox Madison was big in this ball game. Could not get anything done passing the football. Now, San Diego State tried to get Jordan Napier the ball, and all they gave him was an injury. They set him up. As the plays they were running for Jordan Napier, I was actually surprised they got him hurt, and I'm so upset that Jordan Napier is hurt because I love to watch him on the field. Hopefully he gets well soon, but that was crazy. They just kept trying to run screens for him, and Boise State was blowing them up, and they got him hurt. But San Diego State won the game 17-7. Get well soon, Jordan Napier, and hopefully you come back and ball again. But we move on to games to mention, and I got 7 games to mention. The first one is a MAC game. Ohio loses to Western Michigan 17-13. Western Michigan defense did a phenomenal job against the Ohio's offense, limiting their running game, containing Parker Navarro. They just did a great job defensively all around. That defense won them that game against Ohio. Second, Buffalo comes into Central Michigan and just turned the ball over like a mug. It was just a turnover fest for Buffalo as Central Michigan wins 38-19. Toledo dominates Miami of Ohio because Daquan Finn, they said he missed the game due to illness, but I mean, right after the game, they said he's done with the program. He basically said that he's going to focus on the NFL draft and he's leaving Miami of Ohio while Miami of Ohio is in the midst of a MAC championship push. I guess he said the one he got with Toledo is good enough. That was very confusing to me. I'm honestly shocked. And I mean, honestly, I don't think NFL evaluators are taking that as a good sign, but who am I? But yeah, Toledo dominates 24-3 against Miami of Ohio. Wish I'd have knew that before I picked Toledo, Miami of Ohio to win. South Carolina blows a 30-3 halftime lead as Texas A&M erases the lead basically in a quarter and a half, a quarter and a quarter of a quarter, but try saying that 3 times fast. As Texas A&M went 31-3, and it was crazy about that was they scored on every drive until Texas A&M was up, and then Texas A&M couldn't score anymore. Which was really crazy. So it kind of felt like destiny for South Carolina to blow it. Notre Dame absolutely dominates Pitt 37-15. I told y'all I didn't trust Pitt. I knew Notre Dame was going to beat them bad. Shout out Notre Dame. I don't even know why I said that, but anyway, Narduzzi. Just the mindset he had before the game, even if we lose, it's not an ACC loss. What? It's still a game. You got to win. Do you not want to make the playoffs? Do you not think highly of your team enough to do that? Do you know if you beat Notre Dame, you skyrocket up the rankings and possibly can make the playoffs while still fighting for an ACC championship? Like what? App State gets dominated by James Madison. Excuse me, as James Madison punches their ticket to the Sun Belt championship game. They went 58-10. James Madison was my preseason Sun Belt championship winner, so shout out to them for that. They face, I would say, either Southern Miss or Arkansas State. Southern Miss is up a game on Arkansas State with the tiebreaker, so with 2 games left, Southern Miss destiny is in their own hands. Now, my Sun Belt championship game prediction was JMU beating Southern Miss, so hopefully Southern Miss comes out to their side. So even my championship game would be correct. But next and final game to mention, UNLV gets lucky. Utah State misses a field goal to win the game in regulation in the 4th. Both teams miss field goals in overtime. Then Utah State makes the field goal in second overtime, but then a 25-yard touchdown run by UNLV wins them the game and keeps their hopes alive of possibly playing for the Mountain West title game. So those are the games to mention. And now we got major performances before we wrap this up. So I believe I have a list of 30 names. And we're going to run through this real quick. I mean, my episode for the Maction is already written up. I just got to set up the StreamYard and everything. But without further ado, we have Drew DeShield. 5 touchdowns. Marcel 2 touchdowns. Nick McMillan, wide receiver, Buffalo, 9 catches, 122 yards, and 2 touchdowns. KC Concepcion, wide receiver, Texas A&M, 7 catches, 158 yards. Katron Allen, running back, Penn State, 25 carries, 181 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Fernando Mendoza, quarterback, Indiana, 22 of 24, 299 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Gunnar Stockton, quarterback, Georgia, 24-29, 229 yards, 4 touchdowns, and a pick. Kewan Lacey, running back, Ole Miss, 31 carries, 224 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Jeremiah Love, running back, Notre Dame, 23 carries, 147 yards, and a touchdown. Malachi Fields, receiver, Notre Dame, 7 catches, 99 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Josh Cameron, wide receiver, Baylor, 13 catches, 165 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Malik Rutherford, wide receiver, Georgia Tech, 5 catches, 121 yards, and a touchdown. Turbo Richard, running back, Boston College, 11 carries, 141 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Reed Harris, wide receiver, Boston College, 5 catches, 142 yards, and a touchdown. Makai Lemon, receiver, USC, 10 catches, 153 yards, and a touchdown. Jordan Marshall, running back, Michigan, 19 carries, 142 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Andrew Marsh, receiver, Michigan, 12 catches, 189 yards. Jamari Taylor, running back, Virginia, 18 carries, 133 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Terrell Harris, receiver, Virginia, 8 catches, 161 yards, and a touchdown. Byram Brown, quarterback, USF, 23 of 32, 327 yards, 2 touchdowns, a pick, 17 carries for 136 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Jeremiah Koger, receiver, USF, Southern Florida, 9 catches, 112 yards, and a touchdown. Alex Texer, running back, Navy, 12 carries, 126 yards, a touchdown, and a catch for 14 yards and a touchdown. So I got to throw that in there. Eli Hendrick, receiver, Navy, 5 catches, 146 yards. Caden Creel, quarterback, Jack State, 8 of 13, 137 yards, 14 carries, 127 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Cam Cook, running back, Jack State, 27 carries, 132 yards, and a touchdown. And Lucky Sutton, running back, San Diego State, 25 carries and 150 yards. So that is the end of this week in college football, week 12. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. I will be back in about 25 minutes to discuss week 13 action. Like I said, the episode's already written up. Just got to get on here. I got to change the banners real quick. Talk to Joe about the standings. And yeah. Also, we do have the Champions Classic, so I want to bring up. Know what? Yeah, well, I'll bring that up real quick because by the time the end of action episode has already started, we got Michigan State versus Kentucky today, 6:30, and we got Kansas versus Duke 30 minutes after Michigan State, Kentucky. So should be a fun matchup to watch. I mean, if you asking me for my winners, I'm picking Michigan State and Duke. No Darren Peterson for Kansas. Michigan State, I'm riding out with my boys. So call it bias all you want. I'm riding with my boys. So. But make sure y'all tune into that. Appreciate you, Brad. It's a good show. Let's have a good action. Absolutely. But that's with all being that. With that being said, I'm gone. See y'all in about 20-30 minutes. Peace.
Thank you for staying to the end. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like this video, subscribe, and also hit that notification button so you can be notified next time we put out a video. If you're listening on any podcast platform, subscribe and hit that notification button, y'all, so you can be notified we put out another podcast audio. And last but not least, hit that share button. No matter what you're listening to or watching it, hit that share button and send it to somebody that you know that would love to watch this episode you just listened to. So once again, thank you for staying to the end, and we'll see y'all in the next episode.